Alright, welcome to this video. We're going to solve LeetCode problem 113, path sum 2. So they'll give you a binary tree and a sum that you have to reach. In this case, it's 22. And then you have to find all root to leaf paths where each path sum equals the given sum, right? So again, it has to be a leaf as the last node, right? So 2 and 5 are leaf nodes because they don't have a left or right child. So if this node and then this node add up to 22, that would not be a valid path, right? Because this node has a left and right child, even though it leads up to 22 up to here. So I'm going to solve this with recursion. I'll specifically use helper method recursion because I find that the easiest for me to understand and to explain. So let's get started. So let's handle our edge case of if there's no root, they give us an invalid node or invalid tree, return an empty array. But there's no paths, right? Oh yeah, and they want you to return the result as an array of subarrays. And of course, there can be multiple subarrays because there's multiple paths, right? Then I'm going to create my result variable. I'll call it res, set it to an empty array at first. Then I'll say, or I'll create my helper function. I'll call it helper. It takes in a node, a target, and it takes in a prepaths argument, which will be an array of the values of the nodes we visited previously, right? So I'll say prepaths.push node.val, right? Each node has a val property, which is the number. Then I'll say, let's see, if no node.left and no node.right. So remember that it has to be a root to leaf path, and a leaf has no left or right children. So I'm saying if the current node we are on has no left child, no right child, and node.val is equal to target, all right, then the prepaths variable is accurate, right? We have a correct path. So I'll say res.push prepaths, right? So this res variable gets a subarray of the correct path. Then I'll say if node.left helper node.left, and then we have to pass in a target as the second argument, and that target will be target minus node.val, and then I'll do prepaths.slice. So remember that in most languages, arrays are reference types, right? So if you pass the array to two different things, and those two different things modify that variable, modify that array, it modifies wherever it's been passed down. Anyways, if that's a little bit complicated, if that's a little bit hard to understand, just know that when we do dot slice on array, we pass a copy, right? We don't want like something that we don't want to happen, right? So we're going to create a copy of the prepaths array because arrays are reference types. We want to avoid any bugs that could happen. That's why we do dot slice, create a copy. Then I'll do if node.right, and we can just copy this, paste, let me reformat this. This should be node.right. These second arguments, the second and third argument can be the same. And we have finished defining our helper function. So I will now call the helper function, and I'll pass in, remember the first argument's a node, I'll just pass in the root node up here. Then for the target, I'll pass in the sum that was initially passed in up here. And for the paths, well, it's initially empty, right? And so once we call this helper function, it will fill out res accordingly, and then I can return res. So that should be it. Let's make sure my code passes LeetCode's test. And again, if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified of all new content. Now let's make sure this passes the test. They do. So what is the path sum 2 complexity analysis? Time complexity is O of n because we traverse through every node in the tree, and space complexity is O of n because we use recursion and the call stack could be of length of the tree passed in. All right, that should be it for this video.